Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Brendan and welcome back to the channel. And over the past couple of days, we have seen not only a lot of money flood into the crypto space, but a lot of clarity around the topic of regulation. And so today what we're going to do is, as you can see from all the tabs at the top of my screen, we're going to be diving into a lot of the positive developments that have come to the spotlight this week. In fact, a lot of these have kind of been pushed to the background because, as we can see from the Bitcoin chart, a lot of cryptos have been falling over the past couple of days. And so there's a lot of content around all the negative stuff that's happening, when in reality, it was actually a pretty bullish week for the fundamental developments of the blockchain space as a whole. And so just a couple examples of this is BitGet. BitGet just dedicated a $200 million fund for decentralized application innovation. AlphaZero just launched a $50 million ecosystem fund. And then there's just a bunch of examples of this where just millions and millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, are just coming into the crypto space to back everything that we have already built and really kind of lay the foundation and make it even stronger than before. And then you have fundamental developments around the topic of regulation, and EU has been putting in a lot of work to get a solid framework for cryptocurrency regulation moving forward, and even Coinbase is in the news. So we're going to be talking about all this, doing a little bit of TA on the Bitcoin chart as well. So if that interests you, make sure you stick around for the video. And if you like the content, all that I ask is that you consider hitting that like and subscribe button. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive on in and talk about the sheer amount of money that's coming into the space of crypto. I like to do a video like this one every, maybe 2 to 3 weeks, just talking about all the different spaces that are getting crypto funding, because there is always something to talk about in this space. So here we have BitGet getting their $200 million fund for decentralized applications, otherwise known as dApp innovation. These kind of funds are really, really good because what they allow projects to do is to come in, get a little bit of funding, especially ones that might have really innovative ideas. They can come get a little bit more money, and thus they are able to really kind of fund their research and develop it, which is something that they might not have been able to do before. Again, with a lot of these projects, a lot of these people that are really smart, they might have really cool ideas, but they might not necessarily have the money to kind of make those ideas and those dreams and the next era of technologies inside of blockchain actually come to life. And so this is where these ecosystem funds or these innovation funds really come to the spotlight, is they are able to work with these companies or these people who have these bright ideas. So it seems like they do want to target a lot of different kind of verticals inside of the Web3 space, and I for one am excited about this. We've seen some really cool stuff come into developments recently here, especially around the ZK area side of things, or for those of you that don't know, the zero knowledge side of things has just gotten a ton of attention, as has Web3 and AI and a lot of these different areas as well. So excited to see what comes out of this. But then we also have AlphaZero launching a $50 million ecosystem fund, which is going to be just another big thing. Again, add that to the pile. So just between these two, $250 million in funding. And then you have Bitcoin financial services firm Unchained Capital raising another $60 million. And then we have the Web3 security startup Shield raising $2.1 million in their pre-seed. And finally, we have Li-Fi, I believe that's how it's pronounced, raising another $17.5 million. And I believe this one is for cross-bridging and, yeah, so it says cross-bridging and decentralized exchange aggregation. So lots of funding coming in from just about every space of crypto. And what this shows us is that the crypto market is still very much alive. Again, even with prices falling, this month we have seen a lot of money coming in. I mean, for example, the pre-seed funding was done yesterday. The rest of this news, this $60 million in funding was done just a couple of days ago, earlier this week. Same with this one, April 20th, yesterday, that was $50 million, and so on and so forth. And so what we had here was hundreds of millions of dollars coming in on a week where the market was falling. And it's easy to just look at the chart and say, prices are falling, not enough good stuff is happening. When in reality, that just isn't the case. There's a lot of positive developments, even when the market is going down. And that has been a reoccurring theme of the last year or so here. So what about EU? What's happening over there? A lot of the time we like to talk about what's happening inside of the US with regulation and inflation and funding rates and all that stuff. But what's happening here in the EU is that these EU lawmakers have finally approved the world's first comprehensive framework for crypto regulation. And a lot of countries are following in suit of this. Now, on the flip side, this wasn't a close kind of debate. This wasn't a close passing. They voted, and the far majority of them voted 517 in favor, with only 38 being against this to pass. So the large majority here said, hey, this is the way that we want to move things going forward. And a lot of countries seem to be adopting this and on board with it. Now, what does this mean? Well, this will provide members of the EU with clear regulatory frameworks for how to move forward with cryptocurrency. This has been one of those things where whenever we bring people onto our show or onto our digital currency summits or things like that, the popular belief is that regulation, if done right, is not going to be a bad thing for crypto. Again, if done right. Because what it will do is provide these institutions, they will know exactly what they need to do in order to be compliant. There won't be any kind of gray areas. And ultimately, it should also protect investors as well. So it'll help companies that are working in blockchain know exactly how they need to be compliant, which we've seen a couple of companies get in trouble with over the past year or two, just because there is just a lot of questions and you have a lot of frustration from these crypto companies saying that they're trying to be compliant, but they just, there's gray areas, and there's a bit of confusion around that. So I think this could be a positive thing for crypto and add a little bit more stability when it comes to this regulatory side that people have had just so many questions about. And on top of this, we have Coinbase securing their Bermuda license to kind of move things abroad. So across the, world outside of the United States, there is a lot happening. So again, I just want to reiterate that just because something isn't happening in the US, sometimes we need to look outside, see what's happening on the global scale, and see how crypto is being impacted beyond just our little bubble that we have here in the States, because I know a lot of my listeners tune in directly from the States. Now, the final thing that I want to say here with Bitcoin is that as Bitcoin is kind of falling down here, I want to throw up the Coinbase chart. It is falling back to the very consolidation or resistance zone that it just broke out of. So it struggled here for about a month, broke out of it. Now it's coming back down to retest this. So ideally, I'd like to see Bitcoin close above here. If not, it's going to either fall down to the 50-day moving average or this prior resistance at 25K that we have seen, and when we saw a breakout of that. And so maybe it comes back down to either this 50, maybe we're able to bounce here hopefully, but it could be a likely scenario that Bitcoin falls further to either that 50-day moving average or its prior resistance level that should now be turned into a support before seeing its next bounce here. So those are the major levels that I'm looking at towards the downside. Towards the upside, I'm still looking at around 32, 33K for Bitcoin. I still think that price target is completely reasonable. We're just going to have to see where Bitcoin rebalances to and where it can move to the upside from here. So that's going to go ahead and sum us up for today's market update. Again, a lot of good fundamental developments. Not too much to be said on the TA side of things other than, I have my couple of levels that I'm looking to accumulate some Bitcoin at around the 50 and its previous resistance levels. And if we get down there, I'd be happy to pick up a little bit more Bitcoin as well. So that's going to sum us up, everyone. I hope you did enjoy. And if you did, again, all that I ask is that you smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I will see all of you in next week's video.